This is a Global Player original podcast.
Now we're in a new era where we don't know exactly what the limits are.
Big incident for you out in Suzuka.
That's really an unfortunate result of these regulations.
How has the pressure changed?
I had to avoid a much, much bigger crash.
This year really feels like you're leading the team.
Tell me, what's the secret?
I should never have told anyone. That's my biggest regret.
Can you take us into the moment, what happened?
Hello everyone, it's Ollie Bearman and welcome to Up to Speed.
Up to Speed.
It's Naomi.
It's Jolie.
Welcome to Up to Speed. Well, Jolie, today we have got our very first in-studio guest. Big day for the pod.
It really is, and it's none other than the man of the moment. He's outperforming, and we won't keep it from you any longer. It is Mr. Ollie Bearman.
If we had our pick of the litter, I'm very happy that we've got Ollie Bearman in studio today. As you say, he's the man of the moment. Very much important to hear from him because besides the fact that he's doing fantastically well in the car, he also just recently had an incredibly big shunt, and we've got to get that information from him, and it feels very relevant to be speaking to him today.
And we've now just had him in the studio, and for me, what I loved is how raw and open and honest he was, and we were taking the mick a bit, weren't we, that he's not very media trained, and he was like, I need to be more filtered, but we were like, no, stay as you are, because everything he said felt really from the heart, and it felt that we saw a side to him that we get a glimpse of at the track, but I found out so much more.
No, 100%. And I think we talk a lot about drivers being media trained, as you say. Ollie just feels like he's being very genuine, and maybe this is also because he's very young in his Formula One career, but whilst we have these real honest answers from him, it's great to get him on the pod. I mean, he really took us into the heart of the cockpit from that crash in Suzuka. So we're hearing it firsthand from him, what happened, what was going through his mind. He talks to us about his family and how important they are in a way that we haven't heard before. And then he also dives into some of the changes he wants to see in terms of the regulations. So there's loads.
Most of you are going to know what Ollie is saying when he uses some terminology.
But for those of you who are new to F1, if you hear Ollie say lift and coast or LICO, that essentially means drivers aren't driving 100% to the corner. They're essentially lifting off the throttle earlier and coasting through the corner. In the past, this would have happened mostly when drivers were saving tires or trying to reduce fuel consumption. We now see it in F1 sometimes in qualifying. The other term that you might hear him use is speed delta. What that is essentially just the speed difference between one car and another, which this year in Formula One is greater than it has been in the past.
Right, we're not going to keep you waiting any longer. It is time to go and enjoy our up-to-speed interview with Mr. Ollie Bearman.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I saw you got rid of the old people for this episode.
Just the cool youngins.
Exactly.
They're going to love that. But you're the man of the moment. Let's not shy away from that. You are having an absolute stellar season, right? Actually, talking of DC, he said something to me on the last record which really stuck with me, and he mentioned how free you look, your body language when you're driving, you're as I just mentioned, having an amazing season, 7th. I mean, a round of applause. If we had a whole audience, I hope you're clapping at home.
They're outside.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
4th in the Constructors, and you've scored all of Haas's points bar 1. Tell me, what's the secret?
No, it's definitely been a great start to the year. I've been really happy about that. Of course, we're only 3 races in, and it's a very long season. Even if we've lost, we've lost 2 races in this spring break that we have now. But it's been a great start. I've been really, really proud of the work that we've done over the winter. We were the last team actually to develop in 2025, so that kind of put us on the back foot starting this year, but we still arrived in Bahrain with a really quick car, and we scored points in every race. It's been super fun, and I'm just really happy to share these experiences with the team who are pushing so hard. They're so motivated. It's really incredible.
Well, Ollie, I just want to touch on the fact that you came into F1 last year. There was a lot of hype around your name, thanks to Carlos Sainz's appendix. You managed to get your shots in F1 in 2024. I know that like in F1 and for most drivers coming into motorsport, you need that opportunity to show up, right? So the doors open for you. It was a wonderful experience. But you came into last year pretty prepared, but you haven't shied away from the fact that it wasn't easy, right? The first half of the season was challenging. There was a lot to get used to. Can you just tell us, for those of us who've not seen what it looks like behind the scenes in F1, like what is it that makes F1 so much more demanding? And yeah, what did you struggle with most?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I will always say to Carlos that I'm in his debt for the rest of my life, because it's only really thanks to him, and obviously it was a very tough moment for him, but
may his appendix rest in peace.
Exactly. But you know, thanks to that, I was able to get my shot and prove that I was capable of racing in Formula One and competing with those guys. I don't know if I would be in F1 without that race. Honestly, I wouldn't like to think about what would have happened, but anyway, we're here and I'm very happy. The first season was very tough, particularly when you come from Formula 2, you do 14 races, then you get to F1, generally it's 24 this year, of course 22, but it's so busy. And those extra 10 races that you do in F1 are all of the really long trips. So you're doing all of the American races, more Asian races. Mm-hmm. So the travel is a lot more demanding, a lot more time spent away from home, more simulated days, more marketing days, more days like this, filming.
Which you love.
Which I love. I mean, literally the best.
Best day of the year.
I couldn't think of any other way I would like to spend this day.
Oh, thank you so much, Ollie.
So, you know, these things are all extra and less time at home, less time with your family. And I found that challenging at times. But as I found my feet and found good results in Formula One, then you remind yourself why you're in love with this sport, and that's a great motivator, you know, scoring points, getting good results, that really keeps you going.
Obviously, as you say, there's just so much more demand for your time, right? And I think we can't understand what your schedule on a day-to-day basis looks like from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Whereas in the junior formula, you've got way more time on your hands, right? Like you get out the car, you download your data with your engineers, and you have time to digest that information and translate that into what you're going to do on track. I heard you mention that there was sort of like a 10-minute check-in that you needed to add post summer break last season that really helped you. Like, can you just dive into that a little bit more for us and explain why that 10 minutes doesn't already exist in the schedule and how busy it is once you get out the car?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the weekend schedule as a whole, it's so full. I mean, every minute is accounted for basically, so it's really tough to get any time to yourself, even on a Thursday. If I compare a Thursday in Formula 2, it would be like 90-10, 90% with the engineers, with the team working on the strategy and the setup and all of these things, and 10% spending on interviews and things like that. So really, if I had like 2 interviews, that would be a busy day in F2 on Thursday. And now in F1, it's the other way around. It's 90% interviews, media, filming.
Sorry.
The team loves to do TikToks, which
we'll get you to do.
Is great, really enjoyable. And 10% with the engineers, which is tough because, especially as a rookie, going to new tracks, experiencing new things every time, if I can only spend like an hour a day, which is really the maximum, if I get an hour with the engineers on Thursday, I consider it a good Thursday, then it becomes really challenging to be in the right mindset before getting in the car. And it's the same on Friday and Saturday, even when you're driving. And in the summer break, I had a bit of time to sit down with my team, you know, my driver coach, my mental coach, my manager, and we basically said, look, we spent all of this time thinking about the strategy and the setup, all of the car things, and I don't spend any time thinking about myself. So I would basically just spend 10 minutes to calm down, get in the zone a little bit, and talk about what I'm planning to do for the session, because all of the plans for the run plan, all of these things were set out in stone.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of get in the car and be like, okay, what's my target for the session? So that's what I tried to improve on, and that helped me, along with gaining experience throughout the year, that helped me to have better results.
I don't know if this relates or translates, but whenever I was racing, I remember I sort of sometimes had a similar experience in that you would have these debriefs with your engineer and you would kind of hear these numbers, but I would still need time for me to think about what that means for me when I'm on track, because I sometimes got in the car and I was thinking in numbers rather than what comes naturally to me in driving. So for you, can you give us an example of what that 10 minutes changed for you in the cockpit? Like what changed in the experience? Because this year we can see in your body language, you seem to be driving a lot more freely. I know you've mentioned the car was on a knife edge last year. That seems to be better now. But I want to know about that load for you as a driver in the car and how much has changed.
Yeah, I would say that the car being a bit more benign and predictable is a big step in the right direction. But also I found myself being able to get in the car and have a freer mind, having a bit more capacity to think about myself as opposed to all of the other mental constraints that there are in the car that allow me to perform in a better window. So even that I was able to get in the car and in those 5 minutes that you're sitting in the garage before heading out for whatever session it is, just being able to take a few deep breaths and visualize as well. I try and use a bit of visualization to think about what's about to happen, because the cars are pretty quick. So, having all of those things, it just allows me to perform a bit more freely and with a bit less weight on my shoulders, I guess. You could describe it like that.
And, with this being your second season, how has the pressure changed? Do you feel calmer in the car? Do you feel like you're more in control?
I think pressure has been something I've always been quite good at dealing with, because when I look back at videos of me on the grid in Jeddah, was my first race with Ferrari.
Smashed it.
That was a good one. The eyes were all on me. It was a big weekend for me, but I was on the grid joking around with my physio and messing with the mechanics and stuff. I try to kind of separate it as much as possible. Of course, when you're in the car, you feel the pressure a bit, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I struggled with last year or felt a big difference with this year. I think the biggest pressure comes from myself. I'm always demanding a high level of performance from myself, and that means that any external pressure I don't feel so much. Maybe that will change one day when the stakes are higher, but at the moment, the biggest pressure actually comes from within.
I mean, that's such a skill to have that, to be able to control that already. And
long may it continue, I hope.
You'll have to teach us. You'll have to teach us. Look, we there's no doubt F1 is a pressure cooker. We know that. I know you're saying it doesn't feel that way so much, but it is. And I think it over time probably adds up. We've seen your dad. He's very, very present, which is great. I mean, I heard that he sometimes travels between your brother's race and your race on the same weekend, which is just fantastic that he shows up for you in that way. Do you feel like that sometimes reassures you, or does it potentially add pressure?
Yeah, I think my dad needs a teleportation
device.
It would save him a lot of hours, but he's super busy with my brother, with me, with my sister. She's also competing in show jumping.
Amazing.
So she has only 1 horsepower, but it still takes up a lot of weekends. So my dad is incredibly busy, but it's nice. At the start, he was my mentor and my driver coach, because he also had a bit of experience in racing. So when I was 6 until maybe even 11, 12 years old, he was the one giving me tips and telling me what to do. Then at one point, obviously, my knowledge kind of overtook him, but then he kind of changed from being the coach to the dad, and someone there to support you in the good times and give you a kick up the butt in the difficult times. But he's been in probably 90% of my races. So when he's not there, it's almost a bit strange, because it's such a familiar face. And now he obviously watches from afar, but I always know that I have someone at the track with me who I can share difficult moments with, but also enjoy the great moments with. And like Mexico last year, it was so nice to have him by my side. Even my first race with Ferrari, seeing him by my side for the entire journey from my first day in a go-kart to now is really, really special. And I think he feels the pressure even more than I do, probably.
I'm sure he must be so proud. And obviously, Naomi touched on your brother. He's racing in F4 currently. Do you have a dream to ever race together? I think, if I'm correct, your number 87, it's for your birthday and your brother's birthday, am I right?
Yeah, it's a mix. And my dad was racing with number 87, and I kind of inherited it, and so did my brother. It's because I was born on the 8th day of May, and my brother on the 7th.
Can we just fist bump to being Tauruses together?
I was wondering where we were going there.
What's your birthday?
18th
of May.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm not so much into astrology, but I know that Tauruses are the best, so
that's
good.
Pretty much as much as I know
That's
about
all you need to
astrology
know.
as well.
Your brother's the 7th of August. I'm the 20th of August, so I'll fist pump with your brother.
With him. He'll get on the podcast next time.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool, and he is growing and maturing very quickly. He was at the stage it's funny because he's only 4 years younger than me, and I can kind of see a lot of parallels between myself when I was 15, turning 16, and him as well. And a lot of things, you know, when you're that age, you know everything. But actually now, exactly. But now he's really matured a lot in the last 5 or 6 months, and the progression I've seen is really, really good. He was racing in the UK last year in F4. This year he's racing in Italy, which is a very prestigious championship. It was the one that I won when I was his same age, so no pressure, Thomas.
I remember last year in Silverstone, he was racing on the same weekend as you, wasn't he?
As well,
Which was also quite special.
That was very special.
It?
That was the first time since karting that we'd done that.
Your dad was thrilled.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because Thomas, obviously F4, it's the support category at the very bottom of the pecking order. He was racing at like 7 a.m.
6 a.m. or something.
Exactly.
Gosh.
So I think he had to be in the paddock at 5, waking up at 4, and my dad was there from
All
the
long.
F1 race to the F4 race. It was a night shift, but it's cool, and we race a lot on the sim together, and he's really quick, so I really got to work for it. When we often just do sessions and do qualifying laps trying to beat each other, and it's annoying because he's getting quicker, and I don't like that, but he's really, really good. I'm really, really happy, and I hope that he can have a great year this year. So everyone listening has got to follow him and support him as well.
100%.
I love that. But the real question is, has he passed his driving test yet?
No, he's too young. He's still 16. But actually, I got him a little car for Christmas because in France and Monaco, you can drive like certain types of cars when you are
younger, right?
Younger, yeah. So I think from 15 or 16.
But they're like silly little tiny cars.
Yeah.
Do they have a speed limit on them or something?
Yeah, they only do like 40 kph, but I'll show
Could you imagine? You like an F4 racer, but you've got to drive a car that only goes 40
That's
kilometers
true.
per hour.
But I mean, it's a car, you know, it's like freedom. So I got him, I got it painted in his,
wow, that's amazing.
in blue. I got his logo.
Oh,
Look at the
wow.
number plate. It's his initials.
Can I see?
I mean, the effort. I think you get brother.
Okay,
of
well,
the
we're going to
year
have to get
award.
this from you. So
Yeah,
that,
I'll send it to you.
viewers at
But
home can have a look at it. For everyone listening, it's a you'll have to head over to YouTube to
It's
check it
called
out. It's worth looking at.
Fiat Topolino, and like the door is like a rope,
Oh, wow.
and it's made for like the beach. So you take it down to the beach. You know, you can park where you want. I got his logo. You know, like normally.
The thought on this is incredible.
This is
took a
also
lot of
the
planning.
perks of having a brother in F1.
Yeah,
Right?
seriously.
It's already starting to pay off.
He was very happy about that.
Is there
so
competition if he does pass his driving test first? Because not to bring it up, Ollie, but
I kind of
We have to go
thought
there.
this was going to be
we
coming.
have to go there. You did fail your driving test first time.
I feel like I should never have told anyone.
I think that's the only thing that Naomi and I can one up you on.
You
Well,
passed first time,
I did.
and so did you.
So
Well, hope you did.
I did, but it was very close. She basically told me halfway through the test that I'd failed, and
No.
I was
Really?
like,
You brought it
how
back.
or what? I was like, I'm just going to do everything perfect from now till the end, and then I'm going to have a discussion with her.
Yeah.
And at the end, she was like, "You're right. It's
You
fine. You're a
argued
good
it.
driver. You can go get
I
your
love
license."
See, I
that.
tried arguing my point, but it didn't work. I think it even solidified my fail.
Even worse.
I
It
It
was
was
like,
to
"Are
do
you
with the
sure?"
stop sign, right?
Yeah, but that sounds like I literally blew a stop sign and like did a very dangerous situation. But basically, I'm gonna. How long have we got? This is
Settle your case. Go for
so.
it.
This is a road, and I was coming down another road, and
Okay.
it was
How roads work.
like a T junction, or
yeah,
okay.
exactly. But it was downhill, right? And obviously, I was going downhill in my car. There was a stop sign, but the road was downhill.
Okay.
So I'm sure I stopped, but anyway, I would love to go back in time and understand. But I couldn't even see the stop sign because of the angle of the car
The
on
road.
the downhill, you know?
Okay.
And then I was checking, obviously, that there was no cars. I didn't just roll out. But I think you have
didn't
to stop.
though.
I think I must have been rolling.
Okay, that's kind of the point of a stop sign. I know you're saying you didn't see it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, tough one too.
I was really struggling to take that one. And
When
I
they
remember,
said you failed, what were you like? You're joking.
yeah, I got really angry at the guy.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, you definitely failed now. So it
well,
was
listen,
not good.
I know you think you should never have told anyone this, but I think it's a good thing. I mean, for anyone out there listening who may have failed, or were listening or watching, I should say,
Yeah.
who failed their test. I mean, this
Don't
is
worry.
like, look, you could be an incredible driver in Formula One and still fail your driver's test, right? That's like,
It must mean
gives people hope.
if you fail, it means you're a very good driver.
Yeah. You're
Because
too
if you
good.
pa-
They don't want to let you on the road.
Exactly. You're too good.
Sense.
yeah, let's
So if you failed your
add a
test,
pinch of salt to that.
don't worry. You're just better than they can account for. That's the issue.
I love
Put
it.
it like that.
And I love the honesty. I love that you said it. And I think
Yeah, that's my biggest regret. In the
but
last
I
few-
think that's so great. Like, you know, you've got such a strong fan base, and I think it's because you're you. You know, your answers. There's been so many funny press conferences where you say something, you realise maybe you shouldn't, and it's why we love you. It's why we were so excited to have you on here as well, because it's the real raw you, and I think, you know, that doesn't happen often anymore. So
Yeah, sometimes I need to there needs to be a bit more thinking between brain and mouth, but generally it comes up with some funny situations.
No,
so
do you know
it
what?
works
We
out.
hear so many of the same, like, copy-paste answers sometimes from drivers. It's quite nice that there's a bit of a disconnect between...
absolutely.
What did you say? The brain and the body? The brain
There's
and the
no
mouth.
filter.
There's no filter between,
We like
exactly,
that,
which
we like
maybe I
that.
should work on, but
Nice. Keep
yeah,
it.
it's not natural.
What do you do to switch off? You know, what do you do in the little downtime that you're now getting? What are your pleasures, your hobbies?
Well, I spend a lot of time cycling, for sure. That's one of my favorite hobbies, and also, you know, we train a lot for this sport. Unfortunately, I'm quite tall, so it means that weight is something I have to really keep a close eye on. I can't have too many cheat meals, and cycling is something good to keep my weight down, keep me, you know, in a good condition and ready for the races. So I have a lot of friends. We cycle together. Where I live, the cycling is incredible, I must say. So I'm very lucky in that regard. And other than that, I mean, a bit of time in the gym, but I try not to go too much in the gym, because I prefer being out cycling. You know, you see so much great scenery. And then if I'm not kind of training and working and stuff, I try to settle down by switching off as much as possible, spending time with my dogs. I really love spending time with my dogs, my family.
Me and you both.
Yeah, my family, my girlfriend, doing a lot of just normal stuff together. Where I live in Monaco, I'm quite lucky that there are much more famous people, especially famous F1 drivers, than me. So
For now.
I was going to say that. You took the words out of my mouth.
but that means that I can go around and nobody bothers me, so it's good. I enjoy it.
You'll have to enjoy that while it lasts. Also, I'm thinking maybe we should do the next episode of this podcast, Cycling with Ollie in Monaco. How about that?
Would you need stabilizers? I don't know if I would. I've not been on a bike in so long. I think...
Not
Oh
even
my
like a
goodness,
Boris
Jolie,
bike.
come on.
No, I can bike. I can bike. I can ride, I should say. But, you know, Naomi and I, maybe we can be on the back. Or you could have the baby with you, you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll teach you to
Go
ride
for
a
a
bike
tandem.
while I teach my son how to ride a bike. How about
Sounds
that?
absolutely
How about
perfect.
that?
Progress.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, but obviously, Ollie, we understand how important it is to be able to switch off, because as we're saying, when you're in the cockpit, there is just so much going on this year, maybe more than ever. We are certainly pleased you hadn't arrived here today in crutches, because we've got to talk about it. Big incident for you out in Suzuka. The regs are a big talking point at the moment. A lot of people up in hysteria about what's going on in F1. Can you take us into the moment? What happened? Was that a combination of driver error or just system error? I know that you had boost on at the time, and I know that Colapinto was obviously looked like he was recharging his battery. So the combination caused a speed delta that has everybody up in hysteria. Talk to us about it and what you think of these regs.
That's the first time in relay day history, or in the last however long I can remember, that two cars fighting for position have such a massive speed delta. And that's really a kind of unfortunate result of these regulations. But that was 50 kph difference. Franco moved across in front of me to defend his position. Last year would have been absolutely on the limit, but probably okay with just a 5 or 10 kph speed delta. But with 50 kph, he did not leave me enough space, and I had to avoid a much, much bigger crash, basically. That when he moved left, it was small, but at that speed difference, any move is huge. So I was lucky to not hit him. It would have been much, much worse if I did. But I think it was something we spoke about on Friday, which is even a bit more of a frustrating thing. We said between all the drivers, come on, we need to give each other a bit more respect.
Yeah.
Move to defend your position with a bit more time, because the speed deltas are much higher than we've ever had in our sport. And then 2 days later that happens, which for me was unacceptable. So we need to figure things out between drivers, have a bit more respect between drivers, because I was really not happy with the action that he did. But Also, I think there's a few tweaks that we can do with the FIA, and we've been working very well together to try and avoid these big differences in speed anyway, because like I said, 50 kph, normally that's like a car on a cooldown lap versus a car pushing, and then when they move to defend their position, it's dangerous. So yeah, glad that I'm okay and happy to be absolutely fine. Excited for Miami.
We know that you also have the drivers group chat, and we've heard that there was already a lot of talk about this potential incident happening before it happened. I know you just kind of sort of presented a solution there where drivers need to be a little bit more predictable, shall we say, when defending. How realistic do you think that is? I mean, it's like telling a driver, kind of leave the door open.
Well, not leaving the door open, but just he saw me coming and moved. But last year that would have been okay. This year he sees me coming too late. I'm coming at such a speed delta that at that stage is too late to move.
Yeah.
So I see he looked in his mirror and went left, which is not good. Last year we were pushing it to the absolute limit, moving at the last second, and the overtaking was so difficult and the regulations were so mature that everyone knew exactly what the limits were of those cars, and now we're in a new era where we don't know exactly what the limits are. So I don't think it's a solution. It's more of a plaster for these differences that
temporary compromise.
In theory we shouldn't see these differences for the rest of the season. Hopefully we can improve them.
How was your conversation with him afterwards?
I didn't speak to him.
You didn't? No. Okay. And for you, just for us to try and understand, obviously we could see what a massive crash it was, and not to dwell on it too much, we will move on from it, but did time just freeze for you?
Well, I knew it was going to hurt when I was out of control, that was for sure. And then, of course, I was just thinking to get out the car as soon as possible. Luckily, the car was not too damaged, actually, for the size of the crash. Power unit, chassis is okay, which is also important. And I was okay for the most part. I just wanted to get out quickly to show, especially my family who are always watching, that I was fine. Because although it was a big crash from the outside, it was okay. I mean, the cars are incredibly safe, which is a testament to the hard work that the FIA has been doing.
Okay, well, on a lighter note,
absolutely,
things are obviously going incredibly well at Haas this year for you. I mean, last year, as I said, you came in as a rookie, but this year really feels like you're leading the team to an extent. I mean, obviously Esteban's been in F1 for a very long time, and I know that you two are working collaboratively to make the package of Haas move forward in the way that it has. But there has been a lot of talk about your future. You've been a Ferrari young driver since your F4 days, if I'm not mistaken. Even earlier, right?
End of F4. I first went there when I was halfway through my F4. And we started officially for my first F3 season. So it's been a long journey.
So let me put the question this way. Is there any other team you dream to join other than Ferrari, or is that really your target for the future?
Well, no, that's of course my target, especially given the trust that they gave me. First of all, to take me into their academy and invest so much in me, from F3 all the way to Formula 1, put me in this seat with Haas. Also to trust me with their car. When Carlos was sick, they had other reserve drivers who were more experienced, but they took the shot on the 18-year-old, and luckily it worked out. So they've obviously given me a huge amount of trust and believed in me from the very beginning. Actually, I went to that camp and really had to convince them to sign me, because they were actually trying to sign karting drivers, not Formula 4 drivers. So, it's been
What did you do to convince them?
Well, I mean,
Anything
I would
rogue?
like to say that I was in there with loads of confidence and everything, but I was very nervous during the meeting with the guys. But, we went on track and showed them really what we were capable of firsthand. And that was a really cool thing that they do. They put the drivers to the test in front of them. It's like a football scouting, they see exactly what they're capable of. I hope to one day put on the Ferrari suit and race for them. But I understand that it's a long journey. I need to prove that I'm capable of racing for Ferrari. The pressure is obviously much higher in a top team like that. So continuing to work with Haas is really fun, and I'm learning so much as well.
And what's your relationship like with Lewis? You're obviously two British drivers. I think this is the first time there's actually been 5 British drivers on the grid since 2002. So out in force.
Impressive.
And that doesn't even include Alex Albon, which
Yeah.
We can
You
claim
know?
him.
I think he's pretty British.
Yeah.
So we've got 6, which is great. But you and Lewis, you're at the beginning of your career. He's, we can say the opposite. What's that like between the two of you?
Well, I mean, it's really cool because Lewis was actually one of the first people in Jeddah to text me, to come up to me after the race, and I think show his character and his genuine trait. And obviously we're at 2 very different stages of our career. I'm starting out and really hungry and wanting to achieve as much as I possibly can. Lewis has achieved so much, and I still think he's incredibly hungry, having missed out obviously in that title, but I mean, the most successful driver in the history of F1. It's first of all really cool to share the grid with him, to see him performing at such a high level at his age is a really motivating thing as well. To see his hunger and the fact that he comes back year after year, and I think everyone can agree he's in the top 5, top 3 drivers. It's really, really special, and the support and love that he gives to the younger generation is also shows his character as well.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Snap.
We say the same.
You guys have done a few of these podcasts, I can tell.
Ollie, before we wrap up, we are also on an impromptu 5-week spring break. So we've got listeners
you're enjoying it.
and viewers at home who are desperate to know. There's been conversations going on in the background with the regs. Is there going to be any change to be seen in Miami or going forward? Like, what can we expect?
Honestly, I wish I think we're literally in the same boat. We know the same amount because we've had a small meeting with F1, and we know that they've gone away and I think spoken with the FIA, but at least from where I'm sitting right now, I don't know anything else. But like I said, I don't think we need to flip things upside down. It's just a few small tweaks that can hopefully...
If there's one tweak that you would like to see?
I would like to get rid of lift and coast. I think that would be great. If we can harvest this at minus 350 kilowatts, which is what we can't do right now on full throttle. We can only do negative 250. That can get rid of lift and coast in qualifying laps and even in the race as well. Lift and coast on quali is one of the most counterintuitive aspects and features of these new regulations, and
Sure.
I mean, you can imagine
Of course.
a qualifying lap and you're halfway down the straight and you lift off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super strange. So if we can get rid of that, I think everyone's in agreement that we want to have qualifying flat out, and it's not at the moment. So if we can do that, that would be fantastic.
Well, let's hope to see some changes for everyone's sake, for sure. But Ollie, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the pod, getting up to speed with you. We're going to be right back after this break, Naomi and I, to discuss our conversation a little bit more.
Oh, so there's a debrief after this.
There's a
debrief.
debrief. We've got a debrief room.
There's a
Oh,
briefing and a
goodness.
debrief. So
Okay, well, I hope I
this
scored
is the
well.
review now coming next.
Yeah, all of the bad things I said and
No.
typical
Absolutely brilliant.
gossip about me after this.
But no gossip, all good things.
Thank you.
But make sure you are following us on our socials at Up to Speed Show. Ollie's going to go and do that straight after this too.
Yes.
And we'll be right back. Well, I loved that. And I think Ollie really enjoyed that, unless he's a very good liar. But he said it was the highlight of his day. I'll take that.
Well, I'm 100% going to take that, and I'm not going to forget that he kind of agreed, even though I may have forced his hand, to do another episode of this with us on a bike in Monaco. Okay, are you ready, Jolie? We're gonna train you for this.
Yeah, I guess I need to get my Lycra on and I'll be there.
Your Lycra.
Is that not what they were?
It's called Lycra, but it's okay. We're going to fix that too. We're going to get you up to speed with the terminology on that. But yeah, no, what a lovely guy. I mean, Ollie has always got this beaming smile on his face, but you know, at the heart of it, you can see that he's taking this so seriously and he's doing such a fantastic job of it. But yeah, he really called out what he wanted to see changed, which is really interesting because, you know, as he mentioned, driving in a race car and having to lift and coast is completely counterintuitive. I mean, it's just not what we're built to do as drivers, certainly not in qualifying. I mean, it can happen in the race, but in qualifying, it just shouldn't be happening. So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of his progression throughout this season.
Can we just take a second to talk about the car he bought his brother?
I know.
Like, wow.
I mean, it does only go 40 kilometers per hour, but other than that,
At 16, would you have taken that?
I would have. I won't tell you what I was doing on the streets at 16.
Thank goodness DC is not here because I can't imagine what he would add on to that.
No, exactly.
But I mean, you know, I was quite taken back when I asked him following the crash, has he spoken to Colapinto, and it was probably the only point in the interview he was very stern, and he was like, no, we've not spoken at all.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit cold, his answer there, which, you know, I think is a little bit expected. It was a really big incident that could have ended really badly. Some drivers in those situations are more approachable than others. Maybe this gives us a hint to say that maybe, you know, there's no love lost between the two of them. But yeah, look, he said so many interesting things. I mean, obviously, we're really happy that he walked away from that crash, you know, with a couple of bruises here and there, but, you know, 100% okay otherwise. But I don't know, it's just tough to hear him say, you know, it didn't feel that bad in the car because technology and security and safety in the sport has come so far. You know, thank goodness for that. But I think there's still a lot to be addressed. What I also loved was just how much he explained to us how much his family means to him and the support that they've been. I mean, we've seen his dad, you know, time and time again in the cockpit. But I think we don't get to understand how much that means to the drivers because, as he said, they travel all over the world. Often it can be very isolating. And I'm sure that, you know, given fame and all of that good stuff that comes with being a Formula One driver, I don't think there's a lot of places and people
normality
and normalcy, as you say, that you can, you know, you can't just always be yourself. So I think it was quite nice to hear that he actually benefits from having his dad there and having someone that feels consistent and someone he can open up to.
I mean, I also love when he mentioned that the first thing he wanted to do, you know, following the crash was to get out of the car because he knew his family would be watching. And I mean, it sounds so obvious, but when you've just gone through something so massive, you know, you'd expect your brain to be all over the place, but it just shows his intelligence. And we can't take away the fact that, you know, he's only 20 years old.
I know.
And I mean,
that's just blows my mind.
Blows my mind. His, you know, emotional intelligence, his maturity, everything from today. I was so impressed. But we want to know what you guys think. So let us know in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and leave a review. And follow us on our socials at Up to Speed Show.
And otherwise, if you want to send us an email, it's uptospeed@global.com. We have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday, so don't forget to check if you've subscribed.
You subscribed?
I am, 100%. On all platforms, I believe. But I'll double check that.
Okay, and we'll catch you on Monday. That was so much fun.
I know. I hope we'll get to debrief this episode with Will and DC very soon, because I think even I've got to go back and listen to all the wonderful things that he said. But yeah, it was fun to have our first guest in studio. Thank you all for watching and listening.
This has been a Global Player original production.